Billy Graham certainly changed the world, and another church leader who's trying to leave his mark is Pope Francis. Earlier this month, the Pope met with Turkey President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Erdogan became the first Turkish leader since 1959 to visit Rome. He met with Pope Francis at the Vatican and said Jerusalem was his top priority. Both the Pope and Erdogan have spoken out against President Trump's decision, recognizing the city as the capital of Israel. Erdogan was outraged when Trump announced the United States would move its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Outraged, or at least disturbed, by the Pope's response to the Turkish president is Rabbi Abraham Cooper. He is Associate Dean and Director of Global Social Action at the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles. Rabbi Cooper, it's good to see you again.
Gary?
So what disturbed you the most about the Pope's 50-minute meeting with Erdogan?
Well, look, the Pope has the responsibility to meet with all sorts of world leaders, including Erdogan. But the fact that he allowed, in effect, in advance, to let Jerusalem be the focus of the meeting, and according to reports, the one thing they agreed upon was Jerusalem, was deeply troubling, and frankly, I found it to be offensive. When you take a look at what's going on today in the holy city of Jerusalem, and I know that your network, covers Israel probably better than any other network based in North America. One thing we can say, that access to holy sites for all faiths, all denominations, religious leaders coming, and has never been. This is a golden era, really, for the holy city of Jerusalem in terms of pilgrims from the various faiths coming and getting access safely to pray in their holy locations. Now, when you have someone like Erdogan, who has obviously been using the Israel-Palestinian conflict as a way to get street creds in the Muslim world, who's really been a flamethrower in terms of rhetoric, and in some cases in terms of action, that Pope Francis would find common ground with him over the future of Jerusalem is deeply troubling and frankly offensive. You know, one of the wonderful things about walking the streets of the city of Jerusalem, as you know, there are many churches all over the city, not only in the Old City, and those churches that are representative of the Vatican actually have the yellow flag of the Vatican flying over it. I'm not sure that could be possible anywhere else in the Middle East. I hope it's something that's passing, but if it means that this Pope actually thinks he can cut a deal related to religious freedom with Erdogan, I don't think so.
Yeah, it seems like it's very puzzling because for centuries, the papacy has acted to advance Christendom and against Islamic dominance of Jerusalem. So why this change now? What do you think?
Well, I don't know exactly the nature of the change. My guess is that the bottom line, that this Pope and his predecessors are increasingly worried about the fate of Christian communities throughout the Middle East, as well they should be. We know about the religious ethnic cleansing in Iraq. We know the suffering of the Copts in Egypt, and what's going on in Syria, Gaza. And I assume what's going on in part is that the Pope's, if he makes nice to an influential regional leader like Erdogan, that somehow it will be better for his flock in the region.
And making nice with Erdogan, what difference does that make to Israel in the peace process?
Well, Erdogan is an arsonist. He's not interested in the peace process. He's been a backer of Hamas. Hamas operates openly today in Turkey, including some of their military people who are sort of running the show. Recent arrests in Israel, including of a Turkish citizen, shows that the level of involvement and cooperation between certain elements in Turkey and Hamas is real, it's active, and has consequences on the ground.
What are Catholics telling you about the whole Jerusalem capital of Israel embassy move? Are they in favor of it?
It's not an issue that's front and center. What is the embrace by some churches of the anti-peace BDS boycott movement against Israel. And I think it's worthwhile to sort of repeat what we understood from President Trump's first statement, which is, yes, he recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital, which every nation has the right to. Yes, and we're grateful he's going to move within the year the embassy to Jerusalem. He did not say that he acknowledges Israel's sovereignty, even over West Jerusalem, where my grandchildren live, let alone the Old City or East Jerusalem. So there's a lot yet to discuss, to negotiate. That's, of course, will only happen if there is a negotiating partner. And right now, I think that the Trump administration and their Middle East folks have understood that President Abbas, perhaps for his own internal reasons, or perhaps that's really the bottom line of what he believes, is denounced American moves. UNRWA is still a place where Palestinian youngsters get an education where the word Israel is not shown on a map or uttered. And of course, we have Hamas and Hezbollah. So on Israel's borders, daily threats of terrorism, stabbings, etc. Israelis want peace. They're ready to make peace with their neighbors. They're not going to commit collective suicide for the convenience of anyone.
What can Americans do, especially those of us who are friends and love Israel?
I think probably the most important thing that can be done is to educate our kids, all of our kids, that anti-Semitism remains a problem. It's something that keeps morphing. It's history's oldest hate. And in addition, for love of Israel and the people of Israel, the majority of whom now live in the state of Israel, having allies and friends in the Christian world who can help us counter anti-Semitism on both sides of the Atlantic, that's probably the next step of how you can continue to help us.
Okay, a lot for Jews and Christians to pray about. Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, it's so good to see you again. Thank you for your insights today.
Thank you, Gary. See you.